Test 1, 2, test. Test 1, 2.
Yeah, no.
Really?
Saying.
Really? Especially parties, Mary, the initial meeting.
Yeah, we have.
No, I don't think so.
Printed this wrong. On this EVGA thing.
Yeah.
And then I went online.
It's the same way.
Whoa,
It's
why did they have it in landscape and not?
Because it-
I mean,
It comes from an Excel sheet.
right.
right,
it-
I even
it
opened
does.
in Excel, we couldn't get it to.
Go
It-
portrait.
Yeah, it doesn't fit for some reason. It's not
Because normally you can upload it.
right.
Yeah, you can alter a little bit.
Right. It just,
Couldn't get it to do anything.
it didn't look good either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I was looking at it, I was like, no, it's just the way it was.
Yeah.
It was originally like cut off like that. So it
Like
was,
somebody put it in that way. didn't check
it was weird,
I
yeah,
want to,
yeah,
just a test to see if you can fill it out.
maybe.
Well, it is very, like, you gotta say, do it in the Excel, there's a link.
It
to Word
looks- yeah, it looks
document,
pretty-
Save it as a PDF.
Yeah.
You go do that and then send it back to us correctly.
You get 2 extra points.
Right?
Fudge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use it in our directives for the common good, for thy honor and glory. Amen. Call to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Here.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Present.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Okay, move on to public comment. Please state your name and address, the podium, and please turn the microphone on. Little button. Thank you.
My name is Linda Kolosinski, 61 Shawandowski Drive, Timberlake. The reason that I am present today is I would like to present to Mrs. Joyce. I believe you are doing a survey regarding the sidewalk on Lakeshore Boulevard. And during late fall, I was able also to do a portion of a survey. And I wanted just to give that information to you. And once you look at this portion of the survey and with whatever information, were you able to do all of Lakeshore Boulevard?
On the fall.
Mm-hmm.
We only talked 18 residents because they either weren't home or weren't answering the door.
Okay.
And since then, I was going to report that tonight. I reached out to them via telephone, the people we hadn't reached.
Okay.
So I spoke to another 7.
And are you planning on doing the interior of all of the village?
Well, I think that's something council will have to discuss based on. what
Okay.
we've
And
heard.
then I'm just thinking it's something, especially after you look at this, that you may want to consider a ballot regarding the sidewalk. So may I give this to you?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Did I have to sign this or anything? No.
Got it. You're good. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All of you have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Move on to the reading and disposition of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes of December 19, 2023, please? Mr. Joyce makes a motion, Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving special council meeting minutes of December 28, 2023, please?
Make a motion?
Mrs. Mara makes a motion, Mrs. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving the organizational meeting minutes of January 1st, 2024, please?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Mr. Thompson makes a motion. Mr. Conrad seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Now, do I have a motion to go into executive session to consider employment of a public employee or official, please?
And who's going to be invited?
And we're going to invite Mr. O'Leary and Chief Schofield,
And John.
and John
Joyce
Rasmus.
staying.
Everyone's staying. Okay, do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion.
I second.
Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Moving on to legislation. Resolution number 2024-2. A resolution confirming the appointment of James O'Leary as legal counsel, affirming his agreement, determining compensation, and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion, Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. And do I have a motion approving resolution number 2024-2, please?
So
Happily make the motion.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Joyce seconds. Discussion? None being heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Okay, next is resolution 2024-3. Resolution appointing Matthew Cicero as patrolman within the Village of Timberlake Police Department pending background and drug testing and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
I'd like to make a motion to table this.
I'll
Or second.
second.
To postpone or table.
Postpone?
Is that what we're gonna do?
Postpone.
What is,
Postpone? Wait,
does it matter from a
As long as it's
rule of order?
procedurally held till later in the meeting?
Oh, well, I think I'll table it within the meeting, can I?
Sure.
So like,
Was there a second?
Mrs. Mara second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Come back to that one. Next is resolution number 2024-4. A resolution appointing Michael Wright as patrolman within the Village of Timberlake Police Department pending background and drug testing and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules, please?
Make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Thompson makes a motion. Mr. Conrad seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce.
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick.
Aye.
Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Do I have a motion approving resolution number 2024-4, please?
so moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Conrad seconds. Discussion?
Thank you to the chief for providing us with details of Mr. Wright, Chief Wright, and I think that this would make a very good appointee to the police department.
I agree.
Any other discussion?
do you want to swear in you now?
How about if we do the roll call first?
Actually, we have to vote him in first.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes, it would be appropriate to go ahead and swear him in now. That way he can head back to, if you're heading back. So,
Thank you for being so patiently waiting.
He's gonna get a picture.
I need one. It's one.
Good deal. I'm so to give all my best to each, like. Very good. I'm Michael Wright. Solemnly swear. I will support the defense and support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Ohio, State of Ohio. And laws and ordinances. And all liberties and diligence to know the faith and honesty. Honestly and impartially. Discharge of duties. Discharge of duties. And to the public. As police officer from the village of Timberlake. Diligence to know it. Police department. State of Ohio. State of Ohio. And I continue to. And set off. So I'm gonna
I give Scott a sign.
Make it official.
Thank you for coming out this way. My only concern was cheap and cheap. Can you fit in the same room? I don't have an ego. You good? Okay, that one. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks for.
I have paperwork too, if you
Oh,
copy.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just-
You will have to fill this out.
Thank you, drummer, for you.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Safe drive and keep on.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's the state. Yeah.
Okay, next is ordinance 1-2024, an ordinance authorizing and approving the appointment of, we need street commissioner. So do I have any volunteers for street commissioner? Well, first we need a nomination. Oh, that's right. So do I have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Mr. Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Conrad seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Murrah, Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
So, Mr. Conrad, do you have any ideas who would want to be street commissioner?
Maybe I'm told to do it. I'll do it.
What exactly does the street commissioner do?
Well,
We have no idea.
For a year.
12:30
$30,
a.m.,
that's all we
you
know.
go out and you check the
Drive
streets.
streets.
He's already doing that, so.
They're still there.
So will you accept it?
Yes.
Okay, so ordinance number 1-2024, an ordinance authorizing and approving the appointment of Brian Conrad as street commissioner of the Village of Timberlake, Ohio pursuant to the provisions of section 735.31 of the Ohio Revised Code, setting compensation of $1 per year and declare an emergency. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
Adequately.
Mr. Joyce makes a
Second.
motion.
Second.
Mr. Thompson seconds. Discussion.
You can invest that now.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Murrah, Mr. Conrad,
Stay.
Mr. Thompson.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dollar's gonna go a long way.
I think it's.
Okay, Next is
Do not
ordinance
call me
number
Commissioner Conrad.
2-2024. An ordinance authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to make an application to the Ohio EPA on behalf of the Village of Timberlake for the H2O Ohio Rivers Initiative Chloride Reduction Grant and to accept grant funding awarded pursuant to the application thereof and declare an emergency. By motion to suspend the rules, please.
Make a motion.
Samara makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mrs. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce,
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Murrah, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. And I have a motion approving ordinance number 2-2024, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conrad makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mrs. Joy seconds. Discussion.
So yeah, the mayor shared this with me. He got emailed to him from, I believe it was the mayor's and managers. Email thread or Lake County thread, but it's a chloride salt reduction grant. And there's a few areas we'd like to target or options that we have to target here. And one's the salt storage shed that's kind of in disrepair and dilapidated to where we don't even store salt in it. We can only store some equipment that's not damageable by the elements. And then the other is the mayor Would like to get a new salt spreader that is actually controlled by GPS, has a real control system instead of the analog one. And the effect of that is it goes with your speed. So as you're driving, if you start to drive faster, it adjusts the salt rate to accommodate for that speed. And what happens currently is when you're hitting some of those turns, it just throws a whole bunch of salt because it's an analog dial and you can't drive and turn that dial. It's trying to pat your belly and rub your head at the same time or the other way around. So that was our intention. It's kind of it's not such a bad one, actually. The nature works one was way harder than this, but there is some text fields here. It's a $75,000 limit. And it would be a reimbursement grant, much like the grants that we've done previously or applied for previously. Does have a tight turnaround, January 31st of this year. So the mayor owes me some quotes or some ideas, price points to put into the application. I did start putting some language in it just to kind of put down thoughts and start the process. Probably worthwhile to potentially have a grant subcommittee, or I can pass it around to the grant subcommittee and council. Help me with flowery language and, spruce it up a bit so we have a better shot at getting it. But I gave it a first pass and kind of just put some thoughts to paper, kind of get a framework. So,
We're pretty certain that the projects that we kind of got the money here.
yeah, they both, so salt storage is one. If you look at the one pager here, Exhibit A. On the back, it has the salt storage. So the point of this is to eliminate salt runoff into, water areas. And we are in the Euclid water area. It's called, I had to find it. We're in a watershed and I got the 12-digit, it's an HUC number. So there's been a whole survey of this area and we are part of that watershed area. So we qualify for that on that regard. And then the salt storage and the salt spreaders are both on there. I mentioned to the mayor potentially doing a brine application equipment because that's more efficient, but it's a lot more work and we don't have access to brine. So we'd have to, go get salt from East Lake, mix the brine ourselves, new setup, right? Can't retrofit probably the one we have, etc. So it might just, depending on what we come up with, I mean, pictures are going to be good. So we'll get pictures of the current equipment. And then, I don't know if our salt hopper spreader can be retrofitted with one of these control systems or what yet. So maybe we look into that, or Buyer sells a lot of these and they go, same people that we bought the equipment, best
Equipment.
Yeah, best
One
equipment.
out in Painesville.
has them, so it might be worth. Me and the mayor take a trip out there, go talk to them and see like price points and options and what we really want. Because if we're gonna go for it, we might as well. And I thought it might even be worth just splitting them out into 2 applications. I know that's extra work. Or maybe we just go for the salt spreader and wait on the storage shed. There's some options there. Correct. Yeah, so you sign the contract and all the paperwork that goes if you're one of the selected entities, and then you have 12 months to purchase, install, make facility upgrades and file for reimbursement at that point. So we definitely, I put like Q2 for implementation of the storage shed, and then Q2, Q3 for the salt spreader, because we don't need to implement it right away. It's gonna be summertime, so in between the grass cuttings and all that, we can service or put it on and start to work on it. But yeah, so definitely open to help. I'll put it around, and if people will look at it and think it'd be worth having a working session on it just before we submit it, then we can do that. I'll leave it up to the others on the grant committee if they. Cindy looks like she doesn't want to. Or doesn't care to, I would say.
Salt spreader I purchased, quite a few years ago, so I think, I think the mayor knows, a lot about the equipment that we have. And so, that'll work well.
When we had a salt spreader expert on council, we don't have one. It ain't me. Hey, it's gonna be the mayor. I'm gonna learn about them. It's cool.
It's the street commission. Those
Yeah,
are
that's
our
right.
streets. Yeah, the street commissioner, there we go.
Yeah.
We do now.
Well, and there's also a sweeper too for cleaning, so I don't know what that means, but street sweeper would be sweet. Like a retrofit
Oh,
system.
the sweeper would just
Be
allow
nice.
the residents to put their leaves in the middle of the road, I think.
Be good for picking up all those sticks after a storm, all the little twigs.
Yeah, so if it sounds like, and unless, yeah, unless Margaret, unless you want me just to send it to you and Cindy to look at and review and clean it up for language, punctuation, all those things that I'm terrible at, even though
That for me for 35.
I've taken more English classes than I'd like to admit, because of my transfers and stuff. So I could be an English major. I just am not a big fan of it. I like numbers and science, so I'll handle that part and then get the help from the team for be a little more articulate with it.
Okay, any other questions on that?
This is a great find. How did you find
Mayor found it, stumbled upon it, was sent to him.
it? What a great
See what happens when you compliment too quick?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to reports, mayor's report. Today we went out plowing first time. Jim Summers went out this morning, but it's his birthday today, so he only did 2 passes and then I told him take the rest of the day off and then I went and finished up.
A nice.
I had to
box.
drive the new truck. I had to try it out, so.
You had to
That was
play with
great.
the new toy.
But we could use a new salt spreader because it wasn't going down even enough.
Because
So-
it's animal.
It's analog, that's right. We can use it digital.
Yeah, it's-
So we'll, anyway, but, nothing really report, everything, we survived the storm. Our cleanup, our service guy did a tremendous job cleaning up after that storm. Couple trees were in the road. They were able to pull those out and, cut up everything else and pick everything up. So we did a great job on that. So thank God it wasn't worse than it was. So, and I'll let, Mr. Thompson comment on the rest of the storm. And that's all I have for now. So, Mr. O'Leary, solicitor's report.
I just have one thing, just informational. Most of you know that I, before Thanksgiving, went out to help take care of my brother in California, and I'm getting ready to do that again for another week. I'll be leaving tomorrow. And I'll be gone for a week. If anything comes up, I'll still be available. Don't call me at 8 o'clock in the morning. It'll be 5 o'clock in the morning. Actually call me, because I'll probably be awake already, because I'll still be at Ohio time for a while, so. And that's really all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, Ms. Hardwick. Village Hall report.
I don't have any.
Okay. And then, Mr. Conrad.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Talked about the grant already, so that's one thing off the list. I did get reached out from Mary Ann Kruger with Willoughby East Lake Schools. I think she's at Soy. You guys remember last year I went and spoke to 3rd graders, the School of Innovation. So she reached out about doing that again. So if anyone wants to come with or would like to take the place of, I don't mind doing it. I enjoyed it. Kids enjoyed it, I think. They gave me a whole stack of nice thank you cards
And
and
they could
stuff.
look up to you. It's like- it's like-
Barely, you should
like-
see some of these 3rd graders. They grow like weeds. But yeah, if anyone would like to come, it'd be nice to have 2 of us so they can get different perspectives. I don't have the date yet or anything. I just finally emailed her back. I think she emailed me on Friday. I was busy all weekend and holiday yesterday, so yeah, looking for participants if anyone would like to.
So let me know when it is, depending on what the schedule is. Stuff I can possibly do. Wednesdays and Thursdays are tough for us. We watch our great nieces.
Okay.
But
I roll back.
other days are usually okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Get your mic.
Appreciate it, Gary.
No.
And then speed sign, so the radar sign is shipping. I think it's coming from Canada. And recognize the way they format their addresses and area codes. Yeah, I think we'll leave that one on Lakeshore for now and decide where to put this one in the interim. We could put one, and I've asked about doing that, but currently there isn't one. I don't know if we have any extra signs, speed limit signs anywhere in the shop. Mayor, is there any speed signs, speed limit
I
signs?
haven't found them yet. No.
Okay,
I gotta look again.
okay. Well, yeah, we'll look for those. I agree. I mean, it would be nice. It's just an added cost, so we could discuss it as council if we feel that it's needed. 'Cause there's a lot back here. The other place that would probably be good, because it's solar, so yeah, it's gonna be hard to find great spot in the village. You gotta be kind of creative with that. I think we do get enough sun most times. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to power it. It's LED, but you know, even coming into the village off of Lake Shore, where it lies, might be a good spot too if we go outside of Lake Shore, but we'll figure that out when we get it, work with service to mount it. We got some creative ideas from Willoughby and Menor that how they have their setup similar, so we'll probably just do it that way with the post in the ground and mount the solar panel right to it, but keep an eye out for that, and I'm sure there's other stuff I want to talk about, but spare everyone the time. That's the two big updates for today, so thank you.
Okay.
I want to roll back to me, please.
Sorry.
I have concerns about a house on Lakeshore Boulevard that has a puppies for sale sign. I don't know if anybody's noticed it or seen it or, yes, the Goldens, that seems to go up quite frequently. A neighbor of mine, stopped over there yesterday and she told me that there was at least 4 grown dogs in the backyard. She didn't really look to see if they were male or female, but she did notice that there were puppies running around too. I've turned them into the Lake County Warden and the Lake County Humane Society to check it out.
They come out yet? Or have you heard anything about it from them?
I just did this a couple days ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's fresh, okay.
Yeah. And I don't think that they are allowed to even have that sign up.
Yeah, are you supposed to go through Gary and get a permit to sell that, a garage sale?
It's like it's like a business or, you know.
Yeah, there's no business signs allowed anyway, so. It'd be allowed.
I've had a neighbor complain to me that they could run a business out of their house, but there's a notice saying that you can't Timberlake. Now,
Turn that over to Gary Gray and let him take a look at it. If he thinks it is, we could send him a letter and
Okay.
ask him to take the sign down. That's-
simple enough.
It's a zoning issue.
Yeah, okay. I'll have Gary look into it.
I can get you the address. I have it all.
I know which one it is.
Can't miss it. It's got a 4 puppies for sale sign.
I went there. I was gonna get a dog tomorrow. No, I can't. All right, Mr. Joyce. Finance. Okay. Mrs. Joyce?
So after the first of the year, I did start to phone the residents along Lake Shore that we had not reached when we went door to door. And of the 21 we had not spoken to, 9 of them couldn't be reached either because their numbers are unlisted or they're disconnected. No voicemail set up or full. 2 residents that we had listed in the directory of zoners no longer own the homes. They didn't have opinions. But I did speak to 5 residents. The rest either weren't available and I left messages. 1 was strongly for sidewalks. I believe he's your neighbor. 2 were strongly against. 2 had no really strong feelings one way or the other, but did ask follow-up questions. You know, wanted to know where it would go, you know, how wide it would be, you know, and then they started to kind of, maybe we're really not for it. So that's where we were. In the end, there was 1 for, 4 against, which brings us to 6 for, 17 against that have voiced opinion, which is, I think, 74% against. So I don't know. I don't know if you think it's worthwhile to try and reach those few that I left messages for. I told them they could text me their thoughts if they wanted to. One lady did, but she's one of the ones who had moved. She would have been for it 20 years ago. So I don't know, you know,
You said it was 6-4, 14 against.
no, 6-4-17.
18 against. And some of those were, didn't really care at first. And then, did you
Yeah.
give them an option, like 4 against? No opinion?
Mostly, it was an open-ended, you know, we've got a proposal that we're kicking around. You know, want to touch base with the people who are going to be most impacted by it. Do you have strong, do you have any feelings on this one way or the other? You know, for some of them, it's like, well, where would this go? And, you know, we talked about the fact that it would probably have to go behind the utility poles that are already there. And that becomes kind of a concern because they're thinking, well, that's a big chunk of my front yard, if I know it, or I have landscaping there, or one guy, I got a big tree. If you take that down, that'd be great.
Move it back a little bit further.
Very great.
So,
There you go. He's good at that.
so I don't know. I mean, I'd be happy to follow up with those 7 that we, you know, didn't reach. I had to leave messages again.
Well, you've done what, maybe 5 tries with these people?
Well, we've gone door to door and left notes in the doors for anybody who didn't answer. Then I called everybody I could leave a message for, I did. And, said that, you know, if they didn't have to worry about getting me personally, they had feelings, just, you know, text me. And one person did take me up on that, but she no longer lived there. So,
75.
yeah.
Well, that's.
That's the thing, even if all 7 of them are
Yeah, no, I
strongly
mean-
for, there's still.
Yeah, there's
less-
not gonna be a majority. That's just,
The other problem though is that until the ODOT or whoever came along and said it's gotta be a mixed path, 10 feet wide, we probably would have had more people interested in just the sidewalk.
right, and that might still be, right, that's.
But I think there's probably only one person who that was really a decisive factor.
Okay. And location of it too. So if there's a way to move it other than right there, you know, so they put it along Alberts or whatever. I'm sure there's ways to have the area that put it closer to the street, might persuade some as well, but. Yeah.
The
I
other
never-
thing I wanted to mention was that, I did take a look at the survey that, this is Kozolinsky provided us with.
Yeah, Linda Kolozinski.
Mhm. And they are predominantly against, but they are also residents on, is it Waven or
Woburn.
Wabbit and Shawandassi. So I don't think there are any Lake Shore. people.
Those are all,
Oh, there's a couple that call me.
those are all.
There's one for most against. Yeah. I know 3 or 4.
There was a rumor when we were campaigning that we were bringing sidewalks into the village. That was never, ever, ever even on the table ever.
I even heard.
I was like, what? I said, no, that was never, and it was a survey just for Lakeshore only. So I want to reiterate,
Right.
confirm that again, that we had never, ever thought of surveying the interior just because
They're not the ones who need it.
that's where they're not going if we ever want, forth with this, so.
Yeah, and I have to
I don't know.
reach out to Brian Blakey about the steps of it. Right, it's.
Okay.
For that, since my phone, I catch up. Then we'll play Jane. It worked out. I never expected.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Nancy, go ahead.
I'd like to just make a reminder to everybody that our East Lake mayor has passed, Dennis Morley. I think pardon me? Yes. Yes. And if anyone's interested, tomorrow the visitation, January 17th is 2 to 8 at Monreal Funerals. And the funeral service is also there from 10 to 11. So we send our condolences to the family, to the city of East Lake. I know they lost a devoted leader. Our condolences.
Agree. All donations. The flowers can go to her. I'm
To-
passing the miracle.
Oh, the Miracle Lake?
He was
Oh,
very instrumental in helping run that. I know the guy, like Piper that runs it, said Miracle Lake is always not political. He said he loved it because he wasn't getting shot at when he was there. So he was a good man, someone very dedicated to that. So hopefully that continues.
rest in peace, Mayor Morley.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Thompson, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I'd like to thank our members who are first, thank you for choosing to serve. I'd also like to thank Cindy Hardwick for holding the position of President Pro Tem for the better part of 2 years. I like the idea of a 1 to 2 year presidency rotation for those of us who would be willing to take the responsibilities of mayor should the need arise. It helps to remind us that it's hopefully unlikely, but it is a possibility that council members will have to step up if that situation ever comes up. So we have to take it seriously. I'd like to mention Nancy Mara. Having the most seniority on council. You have never put your hat in the ring to be president, and I understand your reasons, but I know I don't just speak for myself when I say we all thank you and appreciate your experience and guidance on council.
Thank you.
So she's the old lady.
I didn't mean,
Oldest on record. Well,
onto trees.
Okay, Cindy.
Onto trees. As everyone knows, we have experienced some high winds over this past week. On the morning of January 9th, I started to receive calls from and messages from people, including Chief Schofield, about multiple downed trees throughout the village. Thankfully, matters were less serious than the August tornado, and the members of our service department, Brent Gardner, Jim Summers, and Steve Perisco, did a fantastic job helping to clear the roads and clean up during the aftermath. I also want to thank our new street commissioner, Ryan Conrad, for helping out with coordinating and relaying information that morning. Thank you. I also feel the need to remind folks about bringing back their garbage cans the day of pickup. Aside from the ordinance that we have regarding that, we need to be extra cognizant during the extremely windy weather. Otherwise, cans just blow all over our roads. So, and that'll be all.
Thank you. Okay, fiscal officer report. Mr. Raskus.
General fund, our ending balance through December 31st is $325,493. Our month-to-date revenue for December was $31,679 versus expenditures of $51,235. For a net decline for the month of $19,557. Additionally, we made transfers of $20,000 to each to the Village Hall and Police Car capital funds. Expenditures were about $6,235 more than expected, and this is mainly due to the timing of payments of OPERS, Ohio Police and Fire, and Workers' Compensation. OPERS and OPNF were paid earlier than estimated, and workers' compensation billing was slightly later than projected. Our general fund revenue for fiscal year 2023 ended up being $8,521 more than last year, and that was about $707,000 for the year versus $698 for last fiscal year 2022. Revenues in December were approximately $8,735 more than estimated, and this was due to higher than anticipated income tax revenues and the sale of the old service truck for $5,500. We ended the fiscal year 2023 with a surplus of $33,449 after all transfers. Other significant fund activity and miscellaneous. We received a quarterly reimbursement for infrastructure fees for our sanitary sewer fund, 2901, in the amount of $6,426. We also received a reimbursement from NOPEC for the Energize grant in the amount of $4,298, and that benefits Fund 2902, other special revenue. And finally, there were $500 in refunds issued from the 9901 Hall Rental Security Deposit Fund in December.
Okay, thank you. Next,
That was higher than what you were kind of tracking, wasn't it?
Yes,
You add in the $40,000 for the two transfers.
right. So December turned out to be a pretty good month financially. The income tax ended up being higher than estimated for the month, and then we sold the old truck, so that helped. We
Okay.
didn't have that in there in the
That's awesome.
forecast. So
Good report.
again, thank you. Okay, police chief report.
We had 3 911 calls, 1 accident, 3 administrative calls at the post, 2 alarm calls, 3 animal complaints, 9 requests for assistance, community policing, which is the beach and the playground, 40 checks. We had 3 disturbances, 1 harassment call, 39 house checks, 2 information calls, 10 investigations, 1 juvenile complaint, 5 phone complaints, 1 parking violation, 1 property complaint, 1 suspicious vehicle, 1 theft, 2 traffic complaints, and 1 welfare check, for a total of 129 calls that came through central dispatch.
Thank you. Next, moving on to zoning and property maintenance. Gary Gray is not here, but he sent me the report for the year. For November and December, because he wasn't here reporting December, there were 2 roofs, 1 shed, and 2 window permits. And then for all of 2023, total permits written, there were 40 contractor registrations, 11 roof, 4 fences, 6 driveways, 4 plumbing, 4 sheds, 12 windows, 4 interior renovations, 2 siding, and 1 chicken coop permits issued. That was for all of 2023. Next, move on to purchases and approvals. Do I have a motion to approve the December 2023 financial report, please? Mr. Joyce makes the motion. Do I have a
Second.
Second. Mr. Conrad seconds. Discussion? None being heard. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad,
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Do you wanna table that thing?
Well, we don't on table it. We need to go into executive session to further discuss personnel matters and invite him in,
Okay,
and then we'll address it after.
gotcha. So do I have a motion to go back into executive session to discuss employment and public employees?
Inviting the same people.
We're gonna invite in same
Candidate.
people, including the candidate, Mr. Cicero. So Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I make the second.
Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Please mute your mics. (2024) -3. So Mr. Joyce makes a motion to untable resolution 2020. Nancy, second.
Second.
Mrs. Mara seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now, do I have a motion to suspend resolution number 2024-3? Suspend the rules, please. Mr. Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mrs. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce, Mrs. Joyce, Mrs. Hardwick, Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Conrad.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Thank you. Now, do I have a motion approving resolution number 2024-3, please? Mr. Joyce makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Thompson seconds. Discussion, please.
Okay, still some concerns. And I feel better about his candidate. The way that I would go to do this would be with the understanding that we have to have regular updates from the chief about his activities and make sure that we don't have any sort of controversy. If we get negative press over this, groundswell of people in the neighborhood, whatever. We have to consider terminating. Don't need scrutiny. I understand that we need shifts. We cannot allow ourselves to lower our standards to a point where we are just willing to hire anybody who wear it. Do ourselves a disservice to the chief, service to the police department, service to the council, service to I would like assurance from the chief that we're going to be monitoring this very, very closely.
As I said, third shift becomes in contact with very little people. Summer's coming, spring is coming, people will be out walking their dogs. Matt is very personable, he's very knowledgeable about the job. It's not somebody that I have to worry on my nights when I'm at home, oh God, what can happen? Because I know he can handle himself. He's a very good police officer. He said it to me in the interview. It was poor judgment, what he did. It was 8 years ago. And he just wants to go back to being a cop. I mean, he mentioned it there. I didn't mention it. He has a 4-year bachelor's degree from Penn State University. Bachelor of Arts. Not too many people that work with you. I don't.
Any other discussions? I'm being heard. Yes, we'll call.
Mr. Joyce?
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce?
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
I have too many reservations, nay.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Conrad?
No.
The vote,
One abstain, two nays, and three yeses, so.
abstain goes with the majority.
Okay.
Does it carry?
Yep.
She have a
Because the
right to change her
abstention,
abstain?
it was not even, therefore the mayor did not have the break.
So we have three
That-
yeses, two nays, and one abstain, correct?
I didn't know that a nay went.
An abstention always goes with the majority. Then the roll call, you're taking a vote.
So I believe the resolution 2024-3 passes
Passes.
3-2.
Well,
We have another executive session.
Oh, wait, guys, for a minute.
swear.
Don't we have another executive session too?
Yeah, but it'll go quick. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Very quick.
All I have waiting for me is a cold one. That's all. I can wait.
Is it still cold?
It's outside, so I didn't have to put it in the fridge anymore. Right? Slushy pop.
I do it all the time.
in that
I
hall.
do it all the time.
Excuse me.
Right. Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, that's it. Remember when we used to just say it wrong, and you would miss it inevitably, and then you have to wait for it to come all the way back around. Yeah. I already got text, call, email, they spam you.
I got some paperwork too. Thank you. Chief. Have a good night.
Oh, yeah, your employment form.
Unless you want to work for free.
No.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
you.
Okay. So do I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss possible litigation? And we're going to invite Mr. O'Leary and Mr. Roskis only.
So moved.
Mr. Conrad makes the motion. Mr. Joyce seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Joyce?
Aye.
Mrs. Joyce?
Aye.
Mrs. Hardwick? Mrs. Mara? Mr. Conrad?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
You. It is
Out at
9:20.
9:20. Did you have the time in?
9 o'clock.
Okay.
Motion
Okay.
to adjourn.
So do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will move.
Mrs. Joyce makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Conrad
Oh, did
seconds.
you turn your, wait a minute.
Roll call, please.
Wait a minute.
I did.
Um,
Oh, you put it on?
Yeah, hold
Okay,
on.
so we have it on.
So
Mr.
roll call,
Joyce,
please.
you can.
Don't you want to go home?
Mrs. Joyce? Mrs. Hardwick?
Cindy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just say yes.
Aye.
Yeah, hi.
Mrs. Mara? Mr. Conrad?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.